The Arab Spring inspired me and gave me some hope that we can change our world and we can think about things in a new way, and we shouldn't just accept the way things have been done. Hi, my name is Ahmad Solomon. I'm a senior policy fellow for the Roosevelt Institute in the Center for Defense and Diplomacy. I'm Egyptian American, but I've been living in the States all my life. I go back to Egypt for the summers. In Egypt, I always just accepted the fact that we were living under this autocrat and the government was the way it was. Not only was it accepted by Egyptians, but it was accepted by the international community. It was accepted by the political science community. Everyone said that democracy doesn't work for Arabs. And what really inspired me was that these young folks in Egypt, guys and girls, men and women, they came out into the streets because they didn't accept the fact that democracy doesn't work for Arabs. It's really motivating, and it brings me great hope and brings hope to young people everywhere that we don't have to accept the way we've been thinking for a long time. We don't have to accept what political scientists say is the way of the world right now, that we can really make change ourselves.
My name is David Weinberger, and I am the Senior Fellow for Energy and Environment with Roosevelt Institute Campus Network. In New York City, there are a bunch of sustainable rooftop organizations. New York City green roofs, New York City white roofs, New York City blue roofs, you name it, they're there. Not a whole lot of collusion between these organizations, and I thought that Roosevelt could be a really good mediator between these organizations to optimize rooftop efficiency in a way that boosts job creation, boosts food productivity, energy efficiency and generation in some cases, water retention. I'm working with nonprofits in New York City to develop a list of criteria, and we're going to run students' ideas through those criteria, and we're going to create a competition where we'll judge students' pieces based on how well they promote job creation, food productivity, energy efficiency, and conservation. One of the things that I wanted to kind of move in and address is this kind of battle for the sustainable rooftop space. I thought Roosevelt as kind of a third party could move in and start creating the conversation in a way that everyone kind of wins. What's really interesting is that we're able to connect students who have an engineering and urban planning background, an architecture background, an environmental planning background, to the work that Roosevelt does. And so we're able to engage a whole new group of students in progressive policy activism.
The policy centers of Roosevelt represent the distinctions between the different issue areas that we work in. Rajiv Narayan. I'm a senior at the University of California, Davis. With respect to healthcare, I view that as both a goal and a set of issues. The goal in mind is to make sense of the Byzantine sense to which healthcare policy is created. We pass 1,000-page reform bills, and literally nobody in this country can make sense of it, let alone young people or other people affected by healthcare. So part of what I consider my role to be is to make sense of these issues to the public, highlight what works, put a light on what doesn't, and ask people for better solutions. My project idea aims to engage the Farm Bill. This is really tricky because the Farm Bill, so far as it goes through Congress over the past couple of decades, is notorious for how exclusive it is. The only folks who get to influence the development of this legislation, which, by the way, carries as much as $238 billion of funding over several years, are industry executives in agriculture, many times folks in rural states, even though the bill is supposed to impact the entire country. And in fact, while it's called a Farm Bill, over 70% of its funding goes towards food stamps through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So we're looking at this in the Roosevelt Network, and one of the questions that came up is how can we get people into the fold and get them to voice their ideas on how the Farm Bill should be developed? And an idea came out of looking at the Millennium Blueprint. What we'd like to do is we'd like to do our Think 2040 trainings across the country, work with organizations in partnership, find out what young people think their priorities and values are with respect to food and agriculture, and develop a blueprint for a farm bill from young America.
My capstone project this year is going to be a comprehensive effort to develop and promote innovative ideas of students in issues of defense, diplomacy, and development. And so what this means is we're going to have students write white papers on their ideas, and then we're going to promote them through several channels. It's going to be a mentorship program, and they're going to be great opportunities for the student to promote their ideas. I'm going to connect them with leaders in their field so that they can challenge the students' perspectives on the issues, and so that we can make this a really viable plan so that they can come up with innovative ideas, but that are reasonable and that will offer some, really substantial insight into issues that we're dealing with right now.
We invited all students but knew who we wanted, would have, could have, because we had their mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers, and expected their children. We hired cops but called them counselors and resource officers. We got teachers but gave them no resources for their workforces. We opened our doors to the community, beep, 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 but not without metal detectors. We called these schools but built prisons. My name's May Mabulu. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm currently a senior at the University of Arizona. So for my project, I'm working on juvenile justice in Tucson, Arizona. And there's a certain level of getting the students aware of what juvenile justice means, school to prison pipeline. But there's another thing when you actually give them the power to start talking to administrations, to draft things out, to look at the budgets and be like, wow, this really isn't effective. Understanding the cost benefit of having a resource officer and the impact on students on their campus. And then 2 is the reduction in school referrals by creating a bridge between the administration or whoever it is that holds the key that funnels students into the juvenile system and the criminal justice system. And 3rd is reclaiming this idea that education is really powerful, especially K through 12 education, and it should be prioritized over punishment and any detention center.